Hello there. My name's Alston, and we are Group 3, and this is our local community issue. Today we're going to be talking about the rising heroin epidemic in Lexington. Today I also have with me Devin and Sam, who are going to be speaking about the heroin problem in Lexington and how it has increased in recent years. And I also have with me Boyu, who's going to talk a little bit about what we can do as a community to combat heroin and the effects it has on our community. If you were raised in Kentucky and live in Kentucky, you probably know or have heard of someone fall victim to the plague that is heroin. Even for those of you who are not from Kentucky, you're probably no stranger to these lethal drugs and their effects on our community. Heroin is an opiate that is extremely dangerous and unregulated. Many forms of heroin today are very unpredictable and can be extremely potent, causing users to overdose and die. In recent years in Lexington, there has been a large increase in heroin in our community. In Lexington last year, the Herald Leader reported that our chief firefighter claimed he had to administer 843 Narcan shots, a shot that is designed to block the effects of opioids and basically save a person's life while they're overdosing. Now, as terrible as that may seem, overdosing is not the only way you can die from heroin. Many people also suffer from contracting HIV/AIDS, from sharing needles, and there have also been many suicides and shootings related to these drugs. Now, as someone who has grown up in Lexington, I have seen firsthand the impact of heroin in our community. People in our community are being killed from overdosing and from contracting AIDS from sharing needles. Heroin can also be directly related to suicides and gang-related shootings. My group believes more should be done in Kentucky to combat the usage of illegal drugs, especially the use of illegal drugs by adolescents. Knowledge is power, and there is a lot that can be done by educating young adolescents about the realities of heroin and painkillers. That's why today our group aims to educate you, Lexingtonians, about the harmful effects of heroin and what we can do to combat this problem at home. Now up next, I have Mrs. Devin Miller, who's going to arm you with some facts about the problem we face here in Lexington.
Drug problem not only affects the people using the drugs, but as well the family members around. In 2014, the youngest drug-related overdose death was of a 1-year-old child. In the past few years, drugs have become a rising issue in the Bluegrass State. According to the 2014 Overdose Fatality Report from the Kentucky Office of Drug Control, fatalities have increased tremendously. In 2014, there were 1,087 drug-related deaths compared to 1,010 in 2013. With the rise within just 1 year, it is very scary to think of how much more the numbers can rise within the next few years. In Kentucky, the amount of drugs produced is ridiculous. The rise in drugs has been generally associated with the legislation on prescription pill usage change. In April of 2012, Kentucky passes the House 1 bill, which is also known as the Pill Mill Bill. This is associated to prescriptions of pain medication given by doctors. This legislation made it so that physicians could not prescribe medication without the use of Casper. Casper is a software that doctors must use to put patient's name in and review the patient's drug history. Not only has this affected the amount of drugs given out, but also the amount of drugs given in hospitals for patients in need. The Pill Mill Bill has caused related drug issues. In the state's effort to help contain the drug use problem of Kentucky, they instead created an issue of hard drug use. Due to the fact that citizens cannot get prescriptions for painkillers as easily, they instead stray towards the use of illegal street drugs such as heroin. According to the Courier Journal, A $25 bundle of heroin can give the same high as an $80 pill of Oxycontin. Kentucky's heroin surge reflects a national trend. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports a 55% increase in heroin-related overdose deaths from 2000 to 2010. And, as in Kentucky, 4 national studies show that heroin users first abused prescription narcotics. Fayette County is among one of the highest drug-infested counties and communities in the state. Sam will now discuss the way drugs have affected the town of Lexington and the county of Fayette.
Hello, I'm Samuel Adams, and I'm here to talk about the heroin epidemic in Lexington and Fayette County. Heroin in the Lexington and Fayette area is increasing in the past couple of years. Currently, Fayette County is second amongst all counties in the state for heroin. Approximately, heroin has jumped 30% between 2014 and 2015, according to LEX 18. Along with that, according to LEX 18, heroin has increased behind the wheel. It's become such a big problem in Lexington because people have been shooting themselves up before getting into a vehicle. One officer in 2015 found a guy slumped over in his driver's seat while heading down Richmond Road. He was found with his kids in the back seat while he was passed out. The effects of heroin can cause you to die. It could cause your heart to stop circulating blood because it throws toxins into your blood which your kidneys cannot process. It basically causes your blood to be toxic to your heart and slows your heart rate down to the point of stoppage. This is just normal effects of heroin. Just imagine what heroin would be like if it was laced with anything else other than just normal. Along with those, heroin has caused numerous crimes to be increased. It has actually increased 12% from last year already. Between shootings of drug deals and / robberies gone wrong, there's suicides because of drug or even HIV because drug addicts using the same needles. The crime and death rate of heroin has skyrocketed in Lexington and the Fayette County area. But one at a time, the heroin and drugs were worse because of the cops in the Fayette County. Andrew Thornton II was a former narcotics officer and lawyer. He was also known as the man behind the drug smuggling ring called the Company. The Company ran drugs all over the Bluegrass Strait after being based in Lexington, Kentucky. He ran drugs from Colombia and California, and he tried to get weapons from California as well. He tried to bring them back here, and the company ran wild all over the state. The ring lasted several years. He ended up committing suicide from jumping out of a plane with cocaine and numerous thousands of dollars on his back. Overall, the main problem started here because the cops were starting the problem in the 70s and 80s rather than fixing it. Now the cops do not know how to fix it nor have the options to fix it. So we have a problem with heroin and other drugs. We have been lacking a way to find a response to it. There are many ways to fix the issue, so here's Boo explaining this for you now. Take it away, Boo.
That not only influence Kentucky, but also influence other people in other countries. For example, there was an incident in China involving a bus driver and taxi where 3 people were killed. The reason in this accident occurred is because the taxi driver was using heroin. As you can see, heroin is a problem that is rampant in our world. What can we do to solve that? For citizens and adolescents who have not yet been exposed to heroin and other drugs, we need to take preventative measures through education to stop this epidemic in our community. For adolescents in Kentucky, they usually give false information and ridiculous facts about drugs and were never truly influenced by or other adult figures in school system. For example, when I was in school, they told me that if I used the cocaine, my arms would fall out. We need to change our approach in our education if we are to succeed in fighting the heroin problem. We need to educate our children about facts and realities instead of using scare things to prevent children from using drugs. Also, for children about drugs and realities, for example, by giving them the real information instead of using ridiculous scare to ask them or other effective methods. Children are easier to control if you tell them clear about what is right and what is wrong. They will not do it. For those, we suggest those people to go to the profession agency to quit it. They also have the solution. The first step, be willing and determined to do whatever it takes. And second, understand what you are up against. That is heroin. Know ourselves and be victorious. And the third one is prepare some medicines such as the iodine and the tagamet. Hot bath and the long fast walks for the first 7 days is very, very useful. The most important is cutting off all financial support because they will not have money to buy the heroin.
Okay, so now you have just heard some shocking facts about heroin. Hopefully you have learned a little bit more about a growing problem in Lexington and what you can do to be a part of the solution. Drug abuse is a problem that we need to be aware of, and it's a problem that we need to properly educate our children how to deal with, because at one point in time in someone's life, there is a real chance that they will be exposed to the nasty world of drugs, and they should know the facts and the repercussions of their decisions. Up next, we have prepared a video involving a typical scenario involving heroin. And now we'll let Miss Devin Miller narrate this story and show you how to handle these situations. Man, I'm so bored, man. There's nothing to do in Kentucky.
Hey Sam, I got some heroin. Do you want to try it?
Should I try?
Does Sam know the effects of heroin on the body? This substance affects every system. In your head, heroin affects the limbic and brain systems. In the brain, heroin affects the cells called opioid receptors. These receptors control automatic processes like blood pressure and respiration. The limbic system controls your emotions. Therefore, heroin can cause an increased feeling of pleasure, relaxation, and contentment. This is why the substance is so easily to become addicted to. In your mouth, heroin can cause extreme dryness. This causes slowed and slurred speech. Heroin also affects your central nervous system. This means that it can cause slowing in breathing, which can also lead to respiratory failure. In the stomach, this substance can cause distress and produce extreme vomiting and distaste in foods. With every system in your body being affected, heroin is a very dangerous substance, and Sam should think very thoroughly before he uses heroin. Let's see what he does next.
Man, I really don't think that's a good idea. Here in Lexington, heroin is just a plague, and it's killed a lot of my friends, and that's really not a path you want to go down. I think you should tell her no, man.
Agreed. I'm gonna have to pass on it, sorry.
With the advice from Austin, his fellow friend, Sam made the correct choice. Hopefully more people will do the same.